All right, so just because the dirt hasn't started moving yet doesn't mean a lot hasn't gone on behind the scenes. We've actually done quite a bit, including today. We spent this morning going over quite a bit of new information. All right, so let's jump right in it. You've all seen this before. This is our 10-year plan that we've been talking about for some time, and it has three phases. Each phase has three schools: one junior, senior high school, and two elementary schools. The elementary schools are bond schools. The junior, senior high schools hopefully will be funded by special facilities funding. As you know, Crescent City Junior, Senior High School, we've already secured that funding. One thing I want to point out about this particular slide is it says from 2023 to 2025. We've been saying that a lot, but now we're moving away from the conceptual and the things that are big ideas that we think will probably happen to things that will actually happen. The plan hasn't changed for the elementary schools. The move-in dates will be hopefully the beginning of the school year of 2025. But for the junior, senior high school, that school is going to be completely different. Buildings will be built and then demolished. But before, let me put it this way. With the elementary schools, the entire campus will pack up and move over to a brand new facility completely constructed. With the high school, once a new building is built, it's ready for service. The students can then occupy it. So full occupation won't happen, and you'll see on the timeline when we kind of dig into it, until sometime 2026. We hope it will occur a little bit sooner, but they'll be enjoying quite a bit of that campus before then. And again, I'll dig into it here in just a second. All right, so phase one, I've already said it. Those are the three schools. Crescent City Junior, Senior High School. Let me get my... make sure I stay right with you. Crescent City Junior, Senior High School is where the current Crescent City Junior High School is located. Palaca Elementary A is where E.H. Miller is currently located, or the former E.H. Miller. And then Crescent City Pre-K Elementary is the new property that we just acquired out in Crescent City. All right, so let's talk about the schedule for our first school, Crescent City Junior, Senior High School, and that should be the top page that you have. It's an 1,184 student station schools for grades 7 through 12. It's approximately 228,600 gross square feet. CRA is the architect, and he's here, and he's also the architect for the elementary school, but he's also our design manager for all of our schools in phase one. So he's here to back me up with any questions you may have afterwards. And then Parrish McCall is our construction manager for this particular project. I've already said the existing location is the current high school. So let's take a look at the schedule. So let's jump right down to, we've already done the June 26th. The schematic documents, we're going over those right now. You guys saw a phasing plan, phase one schematic document phasing plan that we submitted to DOE for special facilities funding. That's that phasing where the different buildings hop around on that site. That was pie in the sky. It was 3 rounds. It was going to be done in 3 phases, I should say, because the money was originally going to be allocated to us in 3 phases. Now it's coming to us in 2 iterations, so it's been condensed down to 2 phases, and I'll show you exactly what those will be. It's no longer hypothetical. We narrowed that down today with the help of Mr. Adams and some other good people in this room. Our owner review, approval of schematic documents, again, we're working on that right now. Design documents, design development documents will be due October 23rd. We'll get our first look at real cost at that time, and then that's documents containing systems, buildings, building components, etc. And then on November 6th, owner review, approval of design development, and then 100% construction documents due. Those construction documents will be submitted to NEFEC, St. John's Water Management District, and the Department of Environmental Protection for review, and that's for all our permitting. And then by February of 2024, our construction managers should advertise for subcontractors, and they're getting ready to bid everything out. And then by March 18th, the construction managers submit guaranteed maximum price for the board to consider for approval. That should happen on March 18th. So by March 28th, hopefully you guys will have approved that. And if that happens and all permits are received, we'll have a notice to proceed for construction. And that should happen by April 4th of next year. We intend to break ground and have an official ceremony April 11th of next year for the high school. So phase one construction, it's going to take a while, but phase one construction and move-in will be July 3rd, 2025. And then phase two construction complete on August 2nd, 2026. And then phase two substantial completion and move in August of 2026. Again, as the phases are complete, students will occupy, and I'll do a little bit deeper dive of exactly what that looks like on the next slide, or the next several slides. Okay, so here's the current Crescent City Junior Senior High School in the site. You've seen that before. That's where we always start there, and it just seems like we can't get to any real drawings of what this school will actually look like, besides buildings moving around on the property. But we got our first couple looks. We're getting there. I don't have them today for you. All I have is the schematics for where the buildings will actually go. But this gives you a good look of what's going to actually happen. And I like this plan a lot, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so we start out with new construction. We have to build new buildings for students to move in before we can demolish anything. And so the new buildings will be a two-story building, and it will consist of 505 student stations. Uh-oh, tried to hit my clicker. I'm sorry, my laser pointer. And I shot over. Okay, so here's where I am. All right, laser pointer. Greg, let me know if I say something wrong, but I think that's the 505 student station building, correct?
Yes, that's the classroom wing.
Okay, it's classroom wing. And then we have new gym, new locker rooms. While I call this out, do you want to circle where these things are? That would help out tremendously. You're right there.
Okay,
Sure,
can you
clear.
tell me where we at?
All right, so the classroom wing, two-story, 505 student stations.
That's this right here.
All right, and then you have new gym and locker rooms.
That's right here.
And you'll have 70 student stations there. We have a new CTE above the locker rooms.
Right in this area,
And then new band and vocal,
right here.
70 student stations in that particular building. And then new CTE labs will have 90 student stations there for a total of 815 student stations. That's before anything is demolished, 815 student stations going in. Now, this is what I really like about this plan, and just hit the right clicker, go to the next page. So when we take out student stations, we're taking out buildings 19, the band room, building 21, classroom buildings, building 24, the two-story classroom building, the admin building, guidance building, which has 50 student stations, gym and classrooms, another 185 student stations, CTE, 58 student stations, and the portable number 4.
It's right in this area.
And that's 25 student stations. So we're building 815 student stations up front, but we're only taking out 784. That means we're not sticking portables anywhere. And that's what I like the most about this particular plan. All right, let's move on. All right, and then we'll go in and construct the new administration, guidance, and food service,
In this area.
media center, which will be on the second floor. And then we'll have ESE type classrooms, both floors, 155 student stations. And then we'll have another classroom building, which is 350, and that's a two-story building, 350 student stations, for a total of 505 student stations. And that's phase 2 construction. And then phase 2 demolition on to the next. Would be what's left of administration, what's left of building 1, which is classrooms, and then building 1, which is the cafeteria. So what's left of building 1, building 24, the media center, and then 2 portables.
Yep.
Those 2 portables right down there, 25 student stations each. So that's 441 student stations taken out, but we've just constructed 505. And then comes the cleanup.
The old media center is still on that, I mean, the current media center, right? It's the kind of
The one in the,
right
there.
there.
Yeah.
When does that go?
that is coming down at that point. The previous
The
phase, let me back up.
the red is what's
Yeah,
disappearing.
in this
Okay,
in this
okay,
phase, it's
okay.
built
All
here,
right.
and then the next phase, we tear it down.
Okay, all right.
Okay?
So-
And then cleanup, which is the very last slide. And then you want to talk about just entrance, exits, bus loops.
What we're looking at is, let me make sure I got this right here, the bus, I'm looking here is where I'm at. Bus loop's right here. There's a main spine covered walkway coming down that comes right to the front door of administration. Over on the left's the parent drop, so we have queuing from Highway 17 out here all the way up around, so we should be able to get them off the highway there. We got parking here, we got parking here, we got some additional parking down here by the football field. That's kind of where what we're looking at for parking right now. The existing bus area over here, we left the fueling station there, so it's there at this time. Stormwater ponds up here, so that's kind of the overall layout of everything. It separates the middle school and the high school. You can do it in two different wings, or you can do it vertically, first floor, second floor. So it gives Tim a lot of opportunity there. We just started talking about how that might look.
And that, the administration is actually gonna be facing, Union Avenue.
Yes.
As opposed to Highway 17 now.
Yes, it is right here looking,
there in the middle.
looking right there. Right there. We looked at multiple schemes before we got to this one. We went through multiple schemes. To get the student stations count right, we could come up with schemes that we had to bring portables in. So we had to back up and start over and do it. But we've been meeting with Tim and staff, and this turned out to be a real good solution.
Our CM was present this morning as well, and he's very confident that he can pull this plan off as well, so we,
I really don't see PE fields. I see a football field, I see the softball and baseball field, but I don't see a dedicated field.
This area here, we're gonna come in and clean all of this out here and create fields there.
Okay,
circle those buses over there too, and I'll talk about that when we get to the elementary school.
Yeah, right
I
here.
would very much like to free that space up at Tim. We've
Yes.
talked about it a lot.
I'm not sure,
They
but
could definitely use
Thomas,
it.
I'm not sure, but don't we still own the property to the old 17 below the ball field
we
there?
own right
Down in there.
there,
All the way to old 17 there.
There's some opportunities there, but how wet is that? I don't have
Very
Travis here.
Pretty wet. Tim, is that wet?
very wet.
It is
Yeah.
a little wet,
Mhm.
but there's some ideas that we have going on for that area down there as well, so.
It's just
I can
an
see
option.
parking at football games, you know, I mean, it's always been a problem, so I guess it will still remain.
But we also have that new parking lot above there.
Mhm.
It will have twice the amount of student parking as well as the faculty and staff parking. I've met with my administrative team and my athletic director talking about making parking up that way. You know, when we go to a lot of away games, other schools have us pay for parking there, so.
It's an idea.
That we are certainly.
It's the father's delight.
We'll look at it, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Thomas, what, the demolition portion of it, that's a noisy, messy process, been in that before. So, how are you gonna coordinate that with the other activities there?
Parish, Bill?
Yeah, Bill Pearson with
Bill,
Parish
Bill
McCall.
Pearson was here this morning, and, you know, he spoke to the majority of the heavy lifting happening during the summer.
Okay.
But if there are some opportunities to do some things that aren't too intrusive during the school year, we will.
Okay.
We just finished a project with them in Levy County at Chiefland High School. Same exact thing, build something new, tear something down. And we went through that with them, and every day, the superintendent and project manager met with the principal, coordinated what they were doing. We got test schedules, those types of things, and really looked ahead to make it work. So they did it there. I'm very confident they can do it here.
So any of that material will be recycled, that concrete, or is it all?
Right now, we haven't had that conversation yet.
I have one question. Mr. Adams, you can help me with this. Turning in from Highway 17 right by the football field, that's a big problem. Unless they give us a turn lane in there, because I can think of the Wisnoskis being rear-ended right there trying to turn in. People are going very fast right there.
You're talking about
Yes.
this right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Pickens, when I was interim manager of Crescent City, we met with DOT and requested that they put both axial, decel lanes on that turn. And of course, it isn't there. Maybe we could call Mr. Browning, who's on the Transportation Commission, and see him to help us. But it's a logical thing. It's a safety problem even without a
Right
football
now,
game.
it's
Yeah.
a safety problem. And if you're gonna put parents to queue for parent pickup there, then it becomes even
More so.
more of a problem. And that's really not a long, I mean, that little turn is pretty quick. You can't have people waiting there, and school buses exit that way. So that is a very, very crowded area.
That would be a really great thing to have, but my experience with DOT is it's really hard. They have some really different rules that we don't always understand. Phil probably has worked with them with some of the things he's dealt with, but, you know, just to get a traffic light, you've got to have X number of deaths.
Well, with this, it would actually make their transportation model flow better, because you wouldn't have any, interaction with that. It'd just be flowing both ways.
We agree. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes.
Well, no,
total
and
sense.
they agreed that with us when we met with them, even though that's not in the city limits. And so I'll have to go back and look at my notes, and I know the engineer we talked to, but.
David Bowen, I believe, Bowen is who we
Yes,
talked
yeah,
to.
yeah.
That'll be-
Just so you know, also, we did get funding to put in turn lanes. So
Okay.
there's some money in there to do that.
Now, the student parking can still go out and go the other entrance?
Yes.
Oh, I did it again with the
So,
phone.
so when you,
Where am I?
when you build that, you'll have, a decel lane coming to the south, to turn in, and then an
Okay,
axle lane
It'll be on
to go around there,
student
It'll
so.
be on our property.
That's
And
student
you've already got that,
parking.
and
We don't have it designed yet, but we asked for funding for it.
I got you.
Yep, so we'll meet with DOT and have that conversation.
All right, good deal.
Good.
Yeah, they should be very receptive. If they're not, let me
If
know.
you've got your own money, they will be.
Yeah, we've lost too many kids to traffic accidents right down there.
Okay, any more questions with the junior, senior high school in Crescent City?
Sit over here.
Okay. All right, so let's take a look at the Palaca School. Casper is the architect. Osley is the construction manager. It's 1,105 student station pre-K 6 school, approximately 169,000 square feet. As I said before, the location is the former E.H. Miller. Let's jump down to, I don't want to waste your time with the things that have already happened, but let's go all the way down to August 11th and the things that are happening here. Board approval for CM's ranking. We've done that. Board negotiates CM's contract. Kinda done that. Board approves CM's contract. You'll get a contract in front of you. I'm sorry. We've already done that one too. The contract that's coming before you today is actually Ajax. You've already done this one. So You've actually done all of that. Owner review, review approval of design development. We're kind of there. I think we have an upcoming meeting. So 100% construction documents will be due October 24th. Early demolition plans release, construction manager bids, building demolition, notice to proceed for building demolition, and then, construction documents submitted to NEFAC, Water Management, and, Department of Environmental Protection for permitting. We intend to break ground here October 30th, the day before Halloween, and that would be for demolition, at this particular site. And then the CM will advertise for subcontractors on November 21st. Hopefully, that is submitted, a guaranteed maximum price is submitted to the board, hopefully by January 5th. If that's approved on the 15th, we should have a notice to proceed for construction by January 22nd, assuming that all permits are received. We should have substantial completion and move-in the summer of 2025, with a move-in date and a start date when school starts. All right, so let's take a look at what it looks like. This is the current site of E.H. Miller. And I could have made it a little bit bigger so it shows, but I did it again. I did want to show Horseman Club Road and Davis Lake Road. So I zoomed out far enough so you could see that, so you could kind of orient yourself on the map. 17 would be up here kind of looping around.
19.
And then, I'm sorry, 19, thank you, David. And then this is pretty much our property line is where these trees are. There's not a whole lot left over there and up top here. So that's the existing site. Here's kind of what it would look like with the new school on it. This is actually the design of the new school. You would have additional property, where's my, here on this end of the property. There's additional playground area here. I know it's kind of hard to see that with the pointer, but I'll illustrate it a little bit a few slides later. So we have the main office up front, the media center kind of right behind it, just to orient you where everything is. So it's a grand central corridor going straight down the middle of the school with the cafeteria and multipurpose room being in the back, along with the gym kind of on that back lower corner. And then you have your classroom wings, which offshoot. The primary wings are up closer towards Horseman Club, and then the intermediate wings are closer to the back of the school. It's kind of the general layout of it. So this is the front face, and I kind of want you to pay attention to this retention pond, and it'll kind of explain the last slide that we have. That where those pretty fountains are, that's actually a retention pond. I don't know that it'll actually look like that. This is kind of the graphics program. Usually those are fenced in and just dry grass, if you look at the ones we have right now, but I think that's just for the effect of it. This is the front, the other side of the school, so if you were going down Horseman Club Road and you're kind of driving right on past it and look back over your left shoulder, that would be your view. Again, kind of think about where the retention pond is in this particular rendition. Front of the school. And then this is kind of an aerial, so you can see the whole thing. The gymnasium is in the back right. This is all a single-story school. It's a pretty big school.
Seems like they'd let you put the retention pond in that southwest corner where it's kind of.
Well, it's moving. That's why I asked you to kind of pay attention to where it is right here. Now that we have engineers.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
This was kind of
Can't use it for
when
anything
these
else.
were made, these were the architects, but when the engineers started to
sorry.
dig in, that's okay. They
I worked there
things
for
did
3
change
years
a
out of
bit.
college, so I know the site real well.
So that's the front of your school, and then the bottom is the back side. It's just kind of an illustration of the front and the back. Okay, and this was added on a few days ago, and that's that same stormwater retention pond. It's now flip-flop. So the parking lot, if you go back, so instead of being on that side of the school, it's the other side of the school.
Well, I
That
think
makes
the
sense.
topographic run is, the drainage, it drains that way anyway, so your elevations, yeah.
And I mean, that's why we go from the beautiful conceptual back to this, because it's brand new, and that's where that retention
Still
pond
put
will
a
actually
fountain in
be.
there.
I guess you could. But you can see there's plenty of play space in the back, you know, and that's the full property right there. So that gives a pretty good illustration of it. All right, any questions
And so
about
the
that one?
parent, how's parent pickup?
Yeah, the
Work.
parent pickup will be on
Yes,
the
parents will come in.
Portsmouth Club.
Let me look at mine. It's not that I don't trust you, Rick. I'm just double checking before I agree with that. I believe parent
And then-
pickup
and
is
then
off
the
of
buses
Horseman
should
Club.
be coming off Davis Lake Road, but Thomas is gonna verify that.
That's probably right, because we used to store buses out there and they would come off Davis Lake Road.
Do they circle around to go back out?
Take all that traffic.
And we bought, you remember not too long ago, we bought, some access off Davis Lake Road.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I remember now. You're absolutely right. And what's the name of that road? Is it Brandon that runs behind?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's Brandon.
Brandon.
But we bought, where's my pointer at? We bought about up to here on Brandon, so we could access this back corner of the property for buses. And you're absolutely right. And then parent pickup would be on Horseman Club. If you hadn't asked that question, I would have been right there with you, but
That's all right, yeah.
yes, sir.
The parent drop off and pickup is coming onto the site is 3 lanes to increase the capacity to get more cars
Okay.
on there. We
And then the
actually did-
buses enter and exit on that Davis or Brand,
Horseman's Club to Davis Lake.
Davis Lake.
So we are gonna talk to the church property owner about maybe coming off of 19 with a decel lane that could just cut straight over to Brandon.
We had talked about that, but I think you did some studying, and I think that's not gonna be necessary, is that correct?
Right.
But we did talk about that.
And so y'all will submit a traffic circulation plan to DOT?
Yes,
We-
we
we-
got one, we did
Okay.
traffic counts.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit, and like, well, we use Kelly Smith as a model.
Okay.
And we can stack a considerable amount of, well, more than an adequate amount of cars onto the property itself.
There's no decel lane going southbound on 19 to Horseman's Club though. I mean, I live right
Sure.
down the road from there, so I know the area very well. So what would be great if we could figure out a way, whether it's gotta be DOT or us,
Right.
to build a decel lane for those buses to get off of 19.
I will have civil look into that, their civil look into that.
Okay.
To turn right.
Yeah, they'd be turning right, decel, because they'd be coming from,
Now there,
North,
but
yeah.
going the other way, there is a turn lane.
yes,
coming
going the other way, there is a
Right.
turn lane.
Coming down,
Yeah.
turning in.
Right.
All right. Crescent City Elementary. So the architect is CRA and the construction management firm is Ajax. We actually have Mr. Marini here from Ajax, and you'll be considering their contract here very shortly. And it's very similar in size and scope to the Palaca schools, 1,105 student stations, approximately 169,000 square feet. The project location is the new 63-acre site at the corner of Huntington Road and Union Avenue. So notice to proceed for architect was June 26, and the schematic documents were due. We're moving on down the road with this particular school, even though you guys are just looking at numbers today. Jumping down to design development documents being due. Once we get agreed on all the particulars, we should have a notice to proceed for the construction manager by October 1st.
Thomas, could I interrupt you real quick and go back to soil borings in the geotechnical report. That area has a high tendency for sinkholes.
That's the
and-
first I've heard about that.
Yeah, well,
Have you heard anything
predominantly it's
about
because
that?
of the fern frost freeze protection, even though the fern industry's waning. That was one of the first studies I did when I got out of the UF and worked for the Water Management District. But that geotechnical report's gonna be very important to see what kind of, hydrology in that particular field. I've never seen any depressions there, but, need to be real careful with that.
We have already laid out soil boring locations on it
Okay.
and have authorized the geotech, so in the next couple of weeks, he should start. And we will let you know if there's karst features there.
Okay, good deal.
Okay, so owner review and approval of design, development, we should get the final approval by October 15. 100% construction documents due, by December 14th, and then we'll, advertise for subcontractors by, early January. Construction manager will submit a guaranteed maximum price for the board to consider by February 25th. And then, hopefully, if that's approved on March 6th, we'll, get the notice to proceed for construction, by March 13th. And we're looking for groundbreaking by March 14th. And that will be actually shovel in the dirt, moving it, ceremonious, getting ready to actually go to work there. This school should be completed by July 2025, and we should have kids ready to transfer over to this school in the new school year, August 2025. All right, so this is the site. We actually own more than that square, this cleared out square. This is Huntington Road, this is Union Avenue. Just to kind of orient you, if you continue to go up Union Avenue, you'll run into 17, and that would be the corner of Tim's School, Crescent City Junior Senior High would be up here. This is Union Avenue coming down to Huntington. If you take this and go on around, the current elementary school, Middleton Burney, is over here. So we own this property coming all the way down to about right here in this lake, and then coming back up and then coming across. So it's quite a bit of property. And I'll loop Tim's school back in just a minute, the high school, and some plans that aren't currently funded, but they're kind of pie in the sky, but I think they're necessary, in addition to just the elementary school. So here it is. This is an aerial of the development layout plans. Parent pickup is coming in. I wish I had a dollar for every time I've done that today. Parent pickup is coming in off of Union, and then up here, and then stacking traffic here, and then the buses are coming in off of Huntington here. This square off in the back here doesn't have anything to do with this plan whatsoever, but I think it would be a great location for that bus compound that's sitting over there taking up the remaining space on the high school property that they could probably use for, if nothing else, growth. I mean, we don't leave a lot of room over there right now for portables. So I'd like to see us free up that area, and I think that would be a good spot for another bus depot. And it doesn't take a whole lot to locate a bus garage here. The major work happens in Palatka, so we don't need, the substantial amount of equipment that they have in Palatka down in Crescent City. Okay, so here's a larger picture of just the school again. I'm getting off the bus soapbox, but here it is, and that's the front of the school, parent pickup and staging. That's another view of the front of the school. And that's the rear of the school. And if you were to, I take that back, it's a different picture. But that's a picture of the very rear of the school. And this is, if you were going down Huntington, going towards Middleton Burney Elementary, you would see kind of that side angle with the gymnasium being on the back side here. you have any questions about this school, especially since we have the man here who designed it and the man that's going to build it.
So the designs for both Palaca and Crescent City are fairly similar, and the layout on the ground are pretty.
As far as having a central corridor and classroom wings, kinda, but the Palaca build, the cafeteria is towards the front. Here it's at the rear, or do I have that backwards?
Backwards here.
Okay.
Cafeteria.
Cafeteria's up front here, and in Palaca it's in the rear. The gyms are both at the back ends of the school. The check-in is kind of similar. And you have guidance or media right off of the main office on both schools, correct? Yeah.
Thomas, if I may, we actually sent a team, actually Holly was on that team, to Baker County. And there's actually an elementary school up there that was built recently. I think Greg had, well, you designed that one too.
Yes.
But that is very similar to this exact school. And it was really neat I did not go, but our team went, and just to see and make some adjustments based on what we saw. So I know our curriculum folks and finance went, and safety went. So we want to look at that and really kind of make some adjustments. So I think that's been very helpful.
I would just like to mention that on these pictures and in the drawings, it looks like it's really spread out and kind of uninviting, but when you get in there, it's amazing. So the way it's set up, it's...
Well, y'all took some photographs, and that cafeteria looks like it's got its own weather system. It's so big. It's huge.
I've got,
Thank you.
Yes,
if
yes,
I may.
ma'am.
I saw just on the photographs there, it looks like at the end of every wing, it appears to be a door on the end of that. Are those emergency exits?
Yes.
Okay, so each wing has,
That's the end of corridors, emergency exits, and they will, if we do card systems, those doors will have card systems.
and then in the back where I guess the gymnasium was, it looks like there's an open area though to go from
Covered
the,
play there,
okay.
covered play, that
You're
goes out to
speaking
the
of
athletic
this
field.
area here?
Well, in between the
Yeah.
buildings, there were play areas too.
Those are
For
up
like
front, right?
age-appropriate play area right there for them.
Hey, kindergarten.
Well, it's built kind of like a fort.
Those would be
to
towards the
protect
front
it
wings,
To
right.
new state security measures and all at the same time. You won't see as many windows and things on the outer perimeter as you, in the older schools.
Ms. Marini, you have any comments at all about, have you had some experience with this kind of?
Well, we've got a little experience with CRA and tons of different schools. I think it's a fantastic design. We've already begun the process of in-house estimating, so we're getting that process going and working with the team to provide that information as soon as possible to the board.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Overall, it's great.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And we're very fortunate to have that property there too. That's gonna really
Yeah.
make a huge difference in the timing and everything, so.
And no land clearing, just go in the hayfield and build.
Start building.
Don't get many of those.
Gotta move some hay bales out of the way, but
Yeah, quite a few hay
What
bales.
you mentioned, that boring soil.
And Phil, there's people begging for recycled concrete to
Oh, yeah.
crunch up to make driveways and stuff. So there's gonna be a lot of opportunities to get rid of all that old stuff.
great job, Mr.
Thomas.
Bowen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.